Hola, ¿cómo está? Muchas gracias, and welcome to the last show on Televida. That's about all the Spanish I know. We have a great guest tonight, but I want to tell you about my Swiss Army knife. The Swiss Army knife I had when I was a kid had everything in it. It had a corkscrew, it had a fish scaler, because I can't tell you how many times I was walking down the street and I saw a catfish on some Moscato, and I just got it out. But our entertainer today, our guest today, is what I call a Swiss knife of comedy, because he does everything. He does impressions, he does music, he's a great comedian. He does it all. We have him today. He's been a friend of mine for years. His name's Steve Kramer. Lots of times when I do a clip, when I have a comedian here, we show stand-up. Well, this guy is an incredible sketch artist too. So we're going to actually introduce you him from his sketches. So watch these clips of Steve Kramer, and we'll be right back.
You do it like this.
We just filmed it from Who Wants to Be a Millionaire.
Yeah, I know.
Say, I've been watching you and, I like what I see.
The combination of a vocal caress with lungs that gather breath.
Bet these damn inbred didn't even turn this mic on.
Kids, if you're sick of your strict parents and their fascist rules, call me now. I'll make your parents wish you were never born.
Call Jimmy Dupree, the adolescent's attorney. Retainer required for services rendered.
Orthodontic retainers not accepted.
Hey, fresh face.
Who, me?
Why does your skin look so good?
Maybe I'm born with it.
Introducing new Maybelline makeup for men.
Being in a boy band wreaks havoc on my complexion. Dancing like a girl really makes me sweat. But with Maybelline for men, no one has to know my secret.
Who says makeup is just for girls?
Not me.
There's only one way to touch toilet paper. You rub it against your ass.
There's only one place for guys like me, and that's in the White House.
If I had to sing one song and not sound like Pearl Jam, or not any of those other grunge bands, I'd be lying face down next to a garbage can with Chris Cornell from Soundgarden.
And ladies, men just love the magic of Maliboobs.
Thanks so much, Maliboobs.
You're gonna have a long time to think about that move, cowboy.
In a world where the world is in a world of trouble, it's hard to be heard above the noise.
Well. Looks like somebody wants to dance with the big boys.
But a real hero never loses his cool and never, ever raises his voice.
I got a piece of lead here that wants to be your friend.
What? I can't hear what you're saying! What are the detectives saying?
I'm not sure!
Never before have so many soft-spoken tough guys been so tough and so soft-spoken together.
You picked the wrong day to know 3 cops I shot.
You might have to come closer!
We can't hear what you're saying! Sir, we've got him outnumbered. My men are ready to take him out on your order.
If you fire so much as a spitwater a suspect, I'll have you transferred to a post office in Tallahassee.
You seem intimidating, but I can't make out the words. We're just gonna go ahead and start shooting.
Before reading the Complete Idiot's Guide for Dummies, I couldn't tell teen pop queens apart, much less sleep with them. Now I can and do. I was never the smart kid, but now thanks to these guides, I'm hosting one of the most popular shows on MTV. Hello? Hello? Uh-huh. Hello?
Steve, thank you, man.
Thanks for having me, my friend.
That was a great Justin Timberlake, by the way.
Thank you.
You look so good looking, even then and now. Well, thank you for coming on. You have been I've been a fan of you forever. I remember when you got started. What year was that?
That was 1998.
1998.
Yep.
And he was one of the comedians that actually got started, and he took off and he left. Remember what?
Yeah, I was doing comedy for about a year and a half, and then that's when I actually auditioned for the TV show.
You don't know how jealous this made all the other comedians, because he'd only been doing a year and a half, and we'd been trudging along forever and doing it there. But the thing is, you did Were you a musician first, or were you a comedian first?
No, I was a comedian first, and I had some song ideas, and so I knew that if I was going to be able to do them on stage, I had to learn how to play the guitar. So I taught myself how to play the guitar, and that's really kind of when things took off, because I started doing the McDonald's song, which became my closer for about 5 years, and
now let me ask you this: so when did the impressions come? Okay, that's the music.
Now the
impressions.
No, the impressions were ever since I was a kid. I was
What
always.
was some of the first impressions you do as a kid?
Like I remember when I was one of my favorite movies was like The Highlander.
Of course.
And right after the movie
with Sean
was
Connery,
done,
yes.
Yeah, so right after the movie was done playing, I was walking around the house saying, you have the mash of a gorge, and you smell like a donkey, and you have no knowledge whatsoever about potential. He always does that thing with his lips when he talks. It's like a very dramatic lips on Sean Connery.
Oh my gosh! So your parents are thinking, we've got a kid that's doing Sean Connery. This has got to be weird, right?
Yeah, they probably would have embraced it. They thought it was annoying, but they probably would have embraced it if they would have known where I was going with it at some point.
All right, so tell me about your first time on stage.
It was 1998.
At Stanford's?
At Stanford's, yeah.
Okay.
And
open mic?
Open mic night. And it was actually one of the things that helped me. A lot of my friends had been telling me, just my close personal friends, because I used to suffer from agoraphobia, like really bad. So my friends would take me to parties, and they would try to get me to do my Fire Marshal Bill or my Gilbert Godfrey. But if there was more than 4 or 5 people, I would like freeze, and I got really nervous, and I started feeling severe anxiety, and it would stay with me until I left the party. So getting up on stage was one of the most terrifying things I've ever done in my life, but the only thing that was more scary than that to me was being 80 years old and looking back and saying, what if? So I knew I had to at least try. And so I actually went up on stage and I just did a routine that I had been practicing for probably 5 or 6 years.
Who introduced you?
You mean the comedian that brought me up? You know what? I don't remember the gentleman's name. It was a Hispanic gentleman.
Ron Reyes?
No. He wasn't from here. He was in town, and he was
emceeing. Okay.
Yeah, he was guest hosting, but he was, I think, headlining that week, and but I don't remember what his name was. But he actually
he gave you a bit of encouragement.
No, nobody did until
well, that's comedy for you, folks.
Yeah, until after I was done, and then people were giving me all kinds of advice, some good, some bad. One person said to me, hey, you don't want to do impressions. Jim Carrey does impressions. And I was thinking, well, that makes me want to do impressions.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
But this was like at the time he was making like $50 million a movie.
Exactly.
But yeah, and I went up and I did this little skit called Star Wars on Broadway. I had like John Travolta as Luke Skywalker, Al Pacino as Han Solo.
This was your first time.
This was my very first, and I actually won. I won that night.
Well, here's the weird thing is that until you do impressions in front of people, you're really kind of flying by, and that's really a leap of faith, right?
Yes.
Because that's as an impression is that's the way you know you're connecting.
Yeah.
That initial bit of laughter as you get into the first part of the voice.
Well, I grew up in a really strict religious home, and so I never even saw my first episode of Saturday Night Live until I went and spent the weekend with my grandparents when I was a teenager. And I saw Dana Carvey. He was on the very first episode that I ever saw of that show. And he was doing like Jimmy Stewart. He did the church lady. And I noticed what a big reaction he was getting from the audience. I was like, wow, people really like impressions. And so I thought that maybe at some point in my life I might be able to do something with it.
So you said Star Wars here, actually. And you still got a fascination with that all these years later, right?
Yes, I'm still a total nerd when it comes to
Prove
Star Wars.
it. Prove you're a total nerd with Star Wars.
One of the other things that I do, I actually build my own guitars. And I recently built a guitar.
Let's see.
Out of a Millennium Falcon.
Oh my God.
Toy. And
look at this. I don't believe it. Oh my God.
It plays. It actually has lights that I built into it, as you can see right there. Even fiber optic lights and a cockpit that I designed.
The cockpit lights up too? Can we see that?
Yeah.
All right.
You can see it. I 3D printed it, painted it, and built fiber optic lights into it. And
but does it make sound? Let's hear some.
Oh yeah. Let's see. I'm trying to think of like one of my songs that I used to do. This is actually, this will be seen here in Independence, right?
Yes, of course. Of course.
Okay, good.
Well, probably just Independence.
Because I got pulled over while I was driving through Independence. I don't even know why I got pulled over. Apparently in Independence, if you have all of your teeth, you look suspicious. I don't know if you've ever been to like gone to some place where everybody in the room didn't have, no one had their teeth in the right place. Anyways, this is my Independence song right here. Goodness gracious Sally, saved from a maid. I love her and she loves me. I said, "Can I, babe?" We've been fellow down there by the attention shore. Said to us my dirty second home beach. All the people watching from Independence right now are like, "This guy's
Oh my God. Oh my God. So we know Independence, but we're actually here. They're going to be at you. If this is a good thing this is in live, they'd be all over you.
By the way, it's pronounced Independence.
So we're going to talk about this, but I want to, you've gotten to do your impressions. Let's talk about that for a second. You've gotten to do your impressions around a lot of famous people here. So we're going to surprise you. We're going to actually show a clip of Steve doing an impression. We can talk about it on the other side. We're here with Steve Kramer on The Last Show.
Stop, collaborate and listen. How we start with the plan of investing something. Got the how to be trying to down like a half moon till united. Put it to the stop, yeah, I down now. Look at my teeth like a blouse to the blouse. Do these dream rock the mind like a band. Out of a stage, watch this sound like a cancer. Damn, I'm gonna pickle that bone. I'm killing your brain like a pussy from my strong deadly. When I play it out melody, anything less than the band of the bounty. You better get a pop and hit the pose. If you was the rap and yell, I'll start. I'm a DJ with Bowser.
Was that Vanilla Ice?
That was Vanilla Ice.
How did this happen anyway? I saw that on your website. How did this happen?
Well, Pablo and I were performing in Miami. Actually, I think it was Fort Lauderdale. We were in Fort Lauderdale. And Vanilla Ice, of all people.
First of all, Pablo Francisco, one of the funniest comedians out there, one of your best friends.
One of my best friends. He's one of my biggest influences. My two favorite comedians are Pablo Francisco and Steve Martin. And so Pablo and I
with one of them.
Yeah, I toured all over the world with Pablo. It was absolutely fantastic. But we were.
And Pablo's one of these guys who he's famous here, but he's remarkably famous in other countries too.
Wherever we went, whether we were in Australia or whether we were in Sweden, anywhere in the world that we went, it was like we would be in the mall and people would recognize Pablo. It was absolutely insane. But he got famous overseas from his YouTube videos.
Really?
Yep. People would watch because people would upload his videos to YouTube, and it would always have like millions of views on there. And so that's how he got famous overseas. He's absolutely incredible. Make sure you guys check him out if you get a chance.
Pablo Francisco, he is and a super nice guy on top of everything else. So tell me about, so you and Pablo are working in Fort Lauderdale. All right.
And
go on.
Vanilla Ice shows up to the show. And so he's a big fan of
Pablo.
Pablo.
He came to you.
He came to me because he said, hey, great
so
show.
He'd seen you do it on stage.
No, that's the funny thing. He did see part of my show, but I did the Arnold Schwarzenegger, because I do Arnold Schwarzenegger rapping as Ice Ice Baby as part of my set, part of my show. But I do it at the beginning, at the very beginning. Vanilla Ice got there maybe 5 minutes into my set, and I didn't know that. So he was like, hey, a great show. And I was like, are you sure you liked it? Because I didn't know if he had seen it. I was like, I go, yeah, because I rap as, Ice Ice Baby as Arnold Schwarzenegger. He was like, oh, that's terrific. He goes, I'd love to see it. I said, okay, well, we were talking about Pablo. I said, let's go back to the green room. And we went back there and we were hanging out all night in the green room, me and Pablo and Vanilla Ice, like we're all buddies from college or something. And at one point, he says, hey, let's see that Arnold Schwarzenegger is
So you didn't
Vanilla
even
Ice.
volunteer. He asked for it.
He asked for it, and I said, Pablo, can you just provide me with like a little beatbox in it, or just a beat so I can go to? And this, we'd never rehearsed this before, and it was like this insane moment that Vanilla Ice absolutely.
Well, because this guy has got to be sick of hearing that song, and the fact that I looked at him and he was legitimately happy. I mean, to hear a different take that made him laugh and enjoy it for a guy who's made his living, you know, it's kind of like Tony Bennett hearing San Francisco again. You know what I mean?
It was this totally surreal moment that all three of us could feel in the moment, that it was like this really cool thing that was happening at that time. And yeah, Vanilla Ice, he absolutely loved it, and we exchanged numbers. He's a super cool guy.
Well, you ran into a lot of fans. How did you get into the impression thing? Tell me how that works.
I just think of like weird things, like I thought to myself the other day, you know who would make the perfect celebrity voice for the navigation system in your car? Matthew McConaughey. Because think about it, he'd be like, first you're gonna take a left, then you're gonna take a right. He always does that thing like where he's with his teeth. It sounds almost like a lightsaber from Star Wars. He's like, I was trying to live my life like a worry-free bumblebee. Just buzzing along. That's right. But like I learned how to do, I have like these little tricks that that would help me do impressions. Like when I wanted to learn how to do Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah.
I just I rode on a horse for about 4 hours with no pants on. When I wanted to learn how to do Gilbert Gottfried, I took a suppository and waited to see how long.
You got everybody laughing behind the camera, by the way. Okay, go on.
When I wanted to learn how to do Gilbert Gottfried, I took a suppository and waited to see how long before I went to the bathroom. I was like, I should probably go to the bathroom now. So yeah, I just have like these little things that help me.
What you do is you catch one thing and then you expand, right? There's one thing and then you expand on that.
And then you sort of, you know, you almost like you accelerate on the little like with the Matthew McConaughey.
Now this brings me back to, you know, because it seems to me everybody in stand-up comedy and pop culture that we know now has gotten the superstardom through impressions. So you did the show Hype. You showed that at the very beginning of the show here. You did a lot of impressions. Did they just say, hey, do Regis Philbin, hey, do George Bush, or did you have to develop those on the fly, or did you have those in your quiver before you got the show?
Everyone was sort of a unique thing that, like, my mom was telling me that
That show was full of impressionists, by the way. Frank Caliendo and your good friend, the late Chicken, was on there. And
it was a phenomenal cast. Vanessa Williams' brother was on there. And,
I remember. Yeah, Crazy Eye from,
Crazy Eyes
from Curb Your Enthusiasm.
That's
okay.
Right. He was on the show too. He was absolutely terrific on the show. Super funny. But yeah, it just depends. Like, you know, when I was doing the show, that's when George W. Bush got into the office, and so nobody was really doing him yet. And one of the first things that I noticed about him was that he would do this thing with his head, kind of like a chicken, where he would kind of bob his head, you know, put his mouth off to the side. Before I was president of the United States of America, I was governor of the great country of Texas.
and the face, it's just that one little tick, that one thing.
Yeah, I like really get into it with my face and everything. I probably look like really wicked or something. I don't even know what I look like because I'm just like in my head, I'm just like visualizing their face as I do it. But yeah, what was the other one you asked me about?
Everybody. Well, I mean, I asked about Regis Philbin.
Regis Philbin was by accident because at the time, that's what I sent in for my audition, and they loved the Regis Philbin. But I knew I needed to have something that was current, and he was doing Who Wants to Be a Millionaire at the time. So I just sent in a video of me saying,
Philbin, is that you? What the hell?
See,
Who wants to be a millionaire?
It's the name. So what was that experience like, and how did that influence your comedy? Because you got successful really quick, right?
Yeah, I like it. Just everything just kind of at light speed. You were one of the first comics that I met, which I was very.
Was
lucky.
I nice back then, or was
you were super nice?
Oh,
absolutely.
Well, at least I got consistent on that, huh?
Yeah. The cool thing about it was I was doing a show with you, and you were headlining, and I think I was just emceeing at that time. I just got started, but my grandma came and saw the show. The other comic that was on the ticket was this guy that was like. He was kind of snarky and he was like making comments like against, like they were anti-religion, and my grandma was in the audience and she's like a Catholic, so but he was really snarky about it. But she loved how you were really you know, you were testing the audience, you were asking questions about the parachuting, and
oh, that is so sweet. Your grandma.
Yeah, so she said after the show, I was like, did you like she was talking about you and the other guy. She said one guy was really smart. The other guy just thinks he's smart.
Oh my God! That's the best compliment I've ever had. My
But she
gosh.
absolutely loved you. So she was, and I loved my grandma dearly. So that was a really cool moment for me.
Well, you were just super nice and everything like that, and it's nice that you come back to this. Everybody at Televida was really excited when you came back there. So,
by the way, the only Spanish I only know how to say one thing in Spanish.
What is it?
Para las instrucciones en español aprensa dos. I think it means for instructions in Spanish, press 2.
Well, all right, we're going to be back here. We've got more from Steve Kramer. We're not going to let him go yet. We'll be back with Steve Kramer on the last show on Televida. And we're back on the last show with my friend Steve Kramer. Steve, now you've been doing a comedy a long time. I notice you've got the very intricate guitar, but is there a way that you kind of incorporate technology into your act now?
I do, actually. I like to incorporate technology and music at the same time. In fact, this is an impression.
Really?
Of Arnold Schwarzenegger if he was a tech-savvy white rapper. Here we go.
Bang 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 yeah. Oh, stop, collaborate and listen on at the spark with the brand and invention something. Grip the hold of me tightly, flow like a harpoon daily and nightly. Will it ever stop, yo? I don't know. Look at my teeth like a floss of rope. Truly a scream, a rock a mind like a vandal. Light up a stage, watch the top like a candle. Hi, 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 hi.
Oh my God, that was unbelievable. You are the most animated guest we've had here. Thank you so much, Steve Kramer.
Thank you for having me.
We're going to have to bring you back because you are a Swiss Army knife. Today we only use the corkscrew. Will you come back and do another show for us sometime?
Absolutely.
All right, there you go. We have Steve Kramer. Steve, before you go, like I said, we always like to say thank you to our patron saint, Guillermo.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure working with you.
One day. Thank you, Steve Kramer. Thank you for watching the last show on Televida.